Start off, I'll give the invocation, and then Marla Young, our clerk, will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Our Father in heaven, we are grateful to be here today and grateful for the many blessings that we do enjoy, for this country and land that we live in and the freedoms that we have. Father, we're grateful for all those who sacrifice and make the efforts to make this country great and for our local area great. We're grateful for our servicemen and women in the armed services and also in our emergency services. Please guard and protect them and bless them. And Father, we ask that I would please bless the Allen family at this time and the loss of their son in the Air Force. Please comfort them. Please help us as we make the decisions this day that we might be able to do the things which would be best in moving the county's work forward and be able to do what's best for the citizens and for the growth of these communities and the areas that we work in. Again, we're very grateful for the great men and women that we have to work with and the great men and women in this community. And we thank thee for these things. Humbly in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
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 Please stand and join me in the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
thank you.
Thank you, Marla. Did you guys get a chance to look over the minutes?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from June 3rd, 2020.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Commissioner Summers, a second by Commissioner Scott. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Do you guys have any review items or anything?
I was just going to say a little bit about last night. That we were able to have an induction into the Sheriff's Department and all the deputies, and it was pretty amazing to see the turnout and the support in this arena. It was the most deputies we've ever put together in one time. So it's good to know that they know that they've got the commission and all the other elected officials behind them, and the rest of the county knowing that we appreciate their service and their family's service and sacrifice to be able to let them come. But it was really cool to be a part of that last night, and we appreciate their efforts and keeping us safe and continually to do those things with everything else going on in the world and around us. It's nice to know that we have the situation we do have here, that we can honor and bless those people. And to go with Commissioner Hatfield's prayer, we lost a soldier, in this area again, and our hearts go out to his family and really appreciate him being overseas and doing his duty to keeping not only them safe, but us safe at home. So,
Yeah. No, I would reiterate those sentiments on the meeting last night. What I was impressed with is the families that show up to support these guys, and you start to realize it's not just the deputies, but the families make huge sacrifices on holidays, weekends, birthdays, and they do it because they love this county and they understand what needs to be done. So we really appreciate them on that. So.
Yeah, some of the calls that they've been out on, and the way that they just put themselves in harm's way. And the one that really impressed me was one of our deputies that went above and beyond and took some extra time with a young family, and really made a difference in this teenager's life. Kind of turned him around, and the mom was here to thank him. And those are the kind of things that don't show up in the newspaper, but it happens all the time. And so we've got a great department. We're fortunate.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else you guys have?
we're good.
Do you want a COVID update?
Yes.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, let's go do that, and we'll talk about the fire issues.
Okay. We're trending up a little bit. We've now got 82 cases in Box Elder County. Those are cases that have been tested positive since the state, since the nation started testing. Of those, 27 are classified as recovered now. 5 have been hospitalized and had the one death. Cache had a pretty significant spike. They're up to 1,060 cases. And the state website talked yesterday that they are starting to see it trend down there. That the spike over there, they feel like they've got it under control and it's starting to trend down. So that's a good sign. Rich County finally got their first 2 cases this week. They've been completely free until this week, but
How's Cache Valley been with their medical facilities?
remarkably, they've only had 18 hospitalized the entire time. And when you see these hospitalization numbers out here, these are not folks that are currently hospitalized. I believe these are total, is my understanding, unless they're reporting those different now. But they can take well over 100 people in the hospitals in Cache, and so we're not anywhere near the breaking point over there. So we're very fortunate that way. Cache did vote to petition the state to go to green, their council last week, and so not sure of the outcome or if they've received a response on that. The overall state number, quite a few in the state. We're up to just under 15,000 cases in the state now, 624 new this last week. Or on June 17th, and hoping that better weather and immunity
Do you
will
want to
take
go
place
into
soon.
expanded yellow? Because I mean, actually, they've expanded the yellow quite a bit before it gets to green. So I don't know if you want to.
If I understood it, I would definitely go into it.
I think you need a Urim and Thummim or something. The way
Yeah,
they
it's
explain stuff.
it's kind of an interesting dynamic. The guidelines have changed substantially. I think we're up to version 4.6 now. And so anytime that we're doing any kind of a mass gathering or somebody that is looking towards that, we just talk to the health department, get the most recent update, and then if they have something that is specific to an event, we request that. So there was some information requested for our rodeo, a junior rodeo that would like to be held out at the fairgrounds. And so the PRCA has specific guidelines that they suggest for the rodeo. And so we've got those, and they're looking over those and making sure that everything meshes with the state and the local health department. So.
Okay, great. Thanks for the update. Fire issues right now. I don't have Tiffany or Corey in here, but I think we're good with the rain that we've had, and sounded like they had the one out at what was it? Not Locomotive Springs.
Yeah, somewhere out there.
Lucin, yeah.
Lucin.
I knew it started with an L. Lucin. That one's pretty much taken care of, and I think so far things are good. So, knock on wood, we can keep getting rain out every so often and kind of
That makes the grass grow though. So that's
as long as we keep getting rain off and on.
yeah.
Anyway,
Yep.
so do you guys have anything else?
I don't.
No,
Okay.
just keep supporting local. These poor businesses. Tell you what, So do what you can, where you can, and how you can. That's for sure. Because I know that they appreciate everything that everybody's been doing to keep them open, and you hate to see people suffer that's put their livelihoods at risk and through this stuff. So just do what you can and where you can. We appreciate it. I know they do too.
Okay. All right, well, let's move on with our agenda then. Let's go to the Handle with Care program. Victim Services is Beth Thompson and Sterling Marks. Are they here?
Yep, in the back row.
Come on up. If you'll just sit up here to the microphone there and state your name for the record.
I think that mic's on.
I hope it is. Yeah, it is.
Beth Thompson.
I'm Sterling Marks. I'm the director of the Children's Justice Center here. So Beth asked me to come with her today to talk about something that we've done here in the county with the school district. It's called Handle with Care. It was actually started in West Virginia, but it's a program where those that interact with children that have a traumatic event happen, whether that's law enforcement, myself with the Children's Justice Center, or New Hope Crisis Center is involved as well. It's a way for us to let the educators know that something potentially traumatic has happened with that child, and that, as the name denotes, please handle with care, so they can give that child some extra attention without knowing the full extent. We met with all the principals in the district, and also we were going to meet with the counselors before all of this happened. So I've been in contact with Jacqueline Whitaker, who's their contact with the school district. So we'll do a refresher at the beginning of the year for any changes that the district has had, and then to meet with those counselors as well, just to give them kind of a refresher on this. So the idea behind the program is, again, that there's no information disclosed. There's one point of contact for the schools, and that's Beth. So everything comes through the county attorney's office, so that there's no guessing. Is this child been through the Children's Justice Center? Is it New Hope? Is it that everything comes through the county attorney's office? So I brought just kind of this is an example of what they receive. So it's just through email format. It's just very generic by intent. Just indicates the child's name, that an incident happened, please handle with care. And so the training that we went through with the district was more in depth and explained a little bit. I'm sure you're familiar with, they've done a lot of work in our school district just to train the educators and administrators on ACEs, and what ACEs are is their adverse childhood experiences, and helping them understand that affects everything else. And so they've been really trying to do that a lot, trying to be a trauma-focused school and district. And so this was just another piece to add to that for them, so they can be aware that when a child comes to school and they're not engaging as they normally would, that there may be something else to it. And when they get a notice like this, it helps them understand, okay, there's something going on. I was seeing something, and now I understand that there's something else there. So,
Sterling, do they do this actually with like Boys and Girls Club also? Because sometimes, like right now, since they're not in school, do you have contacts with them to be able to maybe start this up and be able to?
I don't. That's a good.
But honestly,
yeah.
I see that's kind of the people that probably need it the most, and they have more contact
Yeah.
with these people that are having problems. I mean, what brought us up, that was when we were last night hearing about some of the things that were going on with the sheriff's department and how good the sheriffs were, was the first contact with these kids, where they had that standoff. I mean, I was amazed, and I would hope that those kids that were taken into custody that night had this type of thing to go on after. So, I mean, any one of us can give you the contacts to the Boys and Girls Club, and I think Janelle and Jenny and those guys would be very appreciative to be able to know, why
great.
some of these kids are becoming aloof or doing bad in school or not showing up to the club or.
Yeah,
those
I love
things.
that.
So, yeah, I think that would be a good idea.
Oh, she's got it already.
Yeah.
But you can
Just
still
gonna
have
And the information that they receive is literally this generic. It just says something has happened, so you're not violating any kind of confidentiality. It just says.
And we only send a notice if they sign a release to do so as well.
Awesome. Okay.
So, and it's explained to the parent, ahead of time, that the only information the school will receive is that something traumatic has happened to the child, and to look out for them.
I'm guessing you probably get close to 100% of the parents or guardians that sign the relays.
Yeah, the ones that are tricky are when they already hit media,
Yeah.
and so it's widespread information. But yeah, the majority of them do want it. So
I would think they'd be pretty supportive of it. Sounds like a good
So-
idea, good program.
Great
And
program.
then another thought I was just thinking about, even with the traumatic things that are going through, like with the Allen family, is that something, even though it doesn't come through the system? I mean, is that something that you can actually, because some people don't read the paper, some people don't do social media, and so some of these teachers are aloof that really come at, so maybe, is that something that you do also?
yeah, I mean the program's intent is to cover anything traumatic. We're trying to still work with the police
Okay.
departments. I'd met quite a while ago with all of the chiefs and trying to see how this could be implemented in the work that they do, because not every call that they get ends up coming to me or to New Hope but those things are still traumatic for a child, and so trying to understand what that looks like. We're not there yet with the sheriffs, and so I think
Well, they were talking about the dispatchers were on that call for 19 minutes with these 3 kids,
yeah.
so maybe we should talk to the dispatchers and
traumatic
things
for 'em.
too, to be able to help that. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
Thank you for all your work.
yeah,
Any
no,
other questions?
No, this is a great program. I love it.
I appreciate you
Thanks
coming
for
and
your
talking
work.
with us today. Thanks. All right, looks like we're to the surplus property.
Brian's on the front row.
Brian, come on up. If you'll state your name for the record in the microphone.
My name is Brian Stanquist.
Okay.
I'm assuming that's the maps that you're passing across
It
there.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to give us a little background here, or tell us what's going on?
Well, I'm farming right now around the feedlot that's a mile east of this property on 6800 North, I believe it is.
Yep.
On the dump road, we call it. And I was just expressing some interest in possibly leasing it or buying it, or whatever's the most advantageous to the county. I'd be offering a cash lease if you wanted to do that.
This
If you
is
wanted to,
Property that the people we had sold to, the company that was gonna do the natural gas generator plant that's now done, so I don't think we have a current lease on this at all, do we? Scott, where's Scott? Is he here?
To my knowledge, we
Oh,
don't.
there you are.
Not my knowledge.
Okay,
Okay.
that's what I was thinking, so,
Yeah.
okay.
I don't know. I'd be okay with pursuing the options as far as on a lease.
And I think you were talking about it, actually buying it also, right?
whatever you guys wanted to do with it, I was speaking when I talked to Mitch Zundel,
Yeah.
he said that there might be something that they would prefer to sell it. But leasing it, it'd be just a matter of jumping through whatever hoops the county has.
I think that's what I look at both options.
And
Yeah, and that's what I told Brian when he called me the last time. I said, we can put it into the people's hands and see what the best use and best option is for the county, and then we can put it into surplus property like we've done these other things, and then make sure Scott gets your information.
and I'm not 100% sure of where to proceed from here or anything like that. I guess I'll just stay in touch with Stan.
Well, yeah, me or
We'll
Scott.
get you hooked up there with Scott Lyons in the back.
Okay.
He's our planning and zoning, and we'll look into the options, lease and purchase, and get back to you and let you know what we
Yeah.
feel is gonna be better for the county.
Okay. All right, good enough.
Okay?
We'll keep you informed. Just let us know. Make sure you get your information, Brian. I've got you on my phone, but
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen Brian in 30 years. We were just talking about that. I didn't know if he was a year older than me or a year younger than me, so.
Yeah, and I mean, things change a lot.
Yeah, things do change.
So
Appreciate
you
it.
okay with that, Scott? We'll just pursue that then?
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Brian.
Thanks,
Brian.
Coming in.
Okay. Brad, looks like you're up.
You want anybody to come sit with you, or are you just gonna solo it? I see a bunch of the people I bailed on last week, so.
Stand for a second.
Yeah, why don't you have them stand up and tell who's with you?
You can just
You bet.
introduce who's with you here.
I'm Brad Rhodes. Sorry. I'm Brad Rhodes. I'm here before the commission representing the Box Elder County Bookmobile. And I'm not really representing the county library board because they're here in
Yeah, come on up.
just about en masse, so. Carrie, our library board president.
Do you want to tell me where you guys are from too? I mean, that's one thing that a lot of people don't understand or realize, what a diverse group we have and where they're serving from. So do you want to just kind of know everybody where they're from?
I'm Carrie John, I'm from Portage.
Pat Garner from Collinston.
I'm a supporter from Penrose.
I'm Katrina Nelson. I'm from South Willard.
Heather Nelson from Thatcher.
Robin Brager from Bear River City.
And that's our board.
Great.
And I get to be over them, and I'm from Bothwell.
Well,
So
great.
yes, thank you for the time allotted to us today. I've prepared a little statement here to read to you with our request. I was hired in June of 2000 to drive the bookmobile for the Utah State Library Division's bookmobile in Box Elder County. As early as 2003, I've been personally planning and preparing with the library board for a building the bookmobile could call its own. A building that gave us sufficient room for our current book collection and even allow that collection to grow. A building that gave us protection for our bookmobiles, that kept the bookmobiles from thieves, vandals, weather, especially water and frost damage, and accident. We've had windows broken out, fuel siphoned off, batteries stolen, vehicle fender benders with the garbage truck, 2 separate incidents with teachers' cars, and seemingly never-ending water leaks over the years. We needed a building that didn't endanger elementary students with our bookmobiles pulling in and out of a parking lot used by these children going in and out of the building, and parents dropping off and picking up their kids. The bookmobile building, approved by the CIP committee in 2019 and budgeted for and approved by the commission for 2020, has been in the planning and preparation stage for 17 years. The library board has personally worked with Commissioners Lee Allen, Jay Hardy, Suzanne Reese, Clark Davis, Brian Schaefer, Luann Adams, and now Stan Summers on this project. We have considered 6 different locations, including Bear River City, Forest Street, and Brigham City, the Buddhist Church in Honeyville, the fairgrounds, a property located next to Hampton Inn in Tremonton, and now finally the best location possible, 120 North Country Club Drive in Tremonton, the location of the old Tremonton Airport hangar. This location is 1 mile from the freeway exit. It has a dedicated turn lane east and westbound. It has power, water, and sewer in place and is nicely central to the county, and the county owns the property. We come before you today to ask the commission to proceed immediately with the county library board's planned, prepared for, and budgeted building project. Thank you. Any questions?
Well, I might add that we talked about this place just for the plain fact that with the security and being able to help with the snow removal and things too, to make it less expensive for being able to do that. So, and we also kicked around multiple places at the fairgrounds to be able to do this also. So I appreciate all their work and the last 17 years of people that have budgeted, and for these guys that have done the things to put the money away to be able to continue to do this stuff. And I think what hit me the hardest is when Brad told me that you're basically the only county, whatever you want to say, that we support that doesn't have a facility to call their own. So, and Willard is stretched to thin. They're growing. The police department's kind of pushed them into a corner, and I agree that it's, like I said, it's time. I realize it's a hot topic, and I'm not going to get into politics, but I'm here to back you 100%. I think it's the right thing to do, and I think we should proceed.
Well, I felt like with the investment you've got in the trucks and things, that there needs to be, there needs to be something there to protect them and help them last longer. And I totally get that, and the security and securing the books. One of the questions that I guess I've got, and Cody, you're at the back there, if you want to come up. I know that you guys have the funding, and I just want to make sure that when we do this, that we get it right, because I don't want to be turning it into a project that, instead of being, what we think it is, it ends up being double, like what's happened to some projects in the past. So we're looking at the drainage, wanting to make sure that we get that right so that we don't have issues, because we have had some drainage issues out there. So.
Right, at this time, the motion, when we had the building out to bid, we had a bid and we had a low bid. We were going to award to Dean Stokes. The location, we come to realizing that we need to do some storm drain study. So we asked Jones and Associates to do a storm drain project all on the fairgrounds. And so right now they focused mainly on the bleacher area, where we did have we were working on an agreement with the church to dump some storm drain into an existing irrigation line at the time, with recommendations from Steve and from the agreement really never got put together. So we didn't do a storm drain area where it was a part of that bleacher project. It got pushed back. So we hurried and put the parking lot in so we could utilize it during the fair. Now this portion of the study, we wanted that done quickly because we wanted the parking lot not to flood again, because we put in a lot of fill. Now the water puddles very deep. So they focused on that area to get it fixed. They've got some ideas to fix that area. Now we're able to move forward with the rest of the storm drain project. We talked with Brad numerous times about putting it over where the airport hangar is. If you remember in the 14 or 16, I can't remember when we had the floods.
That's when the fire storage flooded.
Right,
Yeah.
It had 2 or 3 feet of standing water.
Yeah.
So we really need to get this storm drain fixed so that we're not going to put this new building there, and we don't want it under any water. So we've put some storm drain lines in. Bill's done some work out there. We've done some other work. So we're trying to get a plan together so that we build it, we don't have any future cost. The building itself is ready to go. The plans that we may do some modifications, but I mean it's ready to. It may have gone past the bid. It's been long enough that we may have to put it back out to bid. But we really need to do some more storm drain and get Jones on board to make sure where we put it, that it's at the right elevation, and that we have the storm drain there to take the water away, because it floods from the golf course.
Okay.
And it comes back, and it focuses on that road where we want to utilize that for him to come in and out. And so we can get that fixed and get a plan in place. We can encompass that with the bid for the bookmobile and get it all fixed. So that's where I'm at on a building aspect of what we're waiting on.
Okay.
Do you know what the time frame is on that?
We've gone back and forth last week. I've got an email from Kent with some ideas. I mean, it just depends. He can do some proposals. I mean, the biggest thing is he can have all these proposals, but then it comes to dollars and cents. And so we could get a plan in the next few weeks, but then we really want to make sure, I mean, if it's going to cost a lot of money, where's that going to come from? How are we going to pay for it?
Well, the biggest problem in that split is some of the water was actually headed east, some of it was headed west, and that's why we was talking with the church, because they own a big group of the stuff down there. And I met with the church up there, and we talked about doing and being able to dump. And I think that's just kind of the ball's been dropped after with the whole COVID thing, and people didn't really push it through. But between you and Bill, I think if we stick it back up again, we'd be able to know where that goes, because we might have to enlarge the catch basin in the corner by the train garden. We've talked about that, to be able to not have as much drainage water headed down that way, and just enlarge that catch basin.
That email I sent you had that but
Right.
that area is not big enough to do that, so we're gonna have to do a regional basin.
Right.
Um,
Which we can do in a parking
we
lot.
can do that. We
Yeah.
can do a bigger size pipe, so we can have detention in the pipe itself. There's all sorts of different things that we can do to fix.
So we do our own instead of going through the church.
Well, what happens if we go through the church? I don't know if Steve remembers. We had some things that cleaning, doing some things, doing. I don't know if you remember that agreement that Bill did. It just didn't seem. Why are we going through this when we can just detain it ourselves and fix our problem
Put it on
versus
site.
versus dump it into their existing, because it's an irrigation / storm drain for them to, we dump into it. They want a bunch of different concessions that I didn't think it was good for the county to do that. So we went the other route. So it's not really, we just try to figure out the best thing for us to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on where we would be if it went back out to bid?
I'd say we'd be,
They're low.
oh man, I don't know. If I was a betting man, I'm as busy now as I've ever been construction wise. So
The contractors I've spoken with, things haven't slowed down.
No.
And I don't know about, construction costs. I mean, as far as materials, but the contractors, I don't think that their bids for labor is going to be lower because they're
about 2
busy.
months ago, the contractors were real hungry because they were scared. They didn't know what was going to happen, and now things are leveling off. I think they're kind of okay. They were the unknown, and now that we know, we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I think, and we just keep.
Is it a
building.
train?
Yeah,
That light at the tunnel, a train?
it might be. I think we'd be pretty comparable to where we're at. We'd be able to
Okay.
get that done.
Good.
And
Is there any chance of any of the adjacent property owners helping out with this drainage plan if it impacts them and helps?
we
so that
can proceed to
co-op?
Tremont and see what we're doing. But I basically did everything on our facility so that we can make sure that we are protected and
Right.
that we are taken care of. We can address that.
And Tremont City has said that they'll take care of that problem too, because
Right.
they know as well as we do that it flooded the golf course and the apartments and
Right.
everything else.
And they've done some stuff to fix it. Now, having said that, we might be able to save some money on the bookmobile because we did add quite a bit of bathrooms for there. But now that we're moving it, we can go down. Code requires, once we have more of a 50 occupant load, we'd have to have multiple. But now, depending on what Brad wants, we could do just the 2 bathrooms, a male and female, and then we can save quite a bit of money. And then keep the footprint, take out a lot of the plumbing, but add more storage and more office, well, whatever they would want. It's just framing walls, but it's a lot cheaper framing walls than it is to put
Plumbing. Yeah.
fixtures in.
I've been inundated with phone calls and text messages and private messages from the constituents and outside of, the cities that have just sent their support in this to be able to know that how much it means to their kids and their families. And I mean, there's some places it's 2 hours to get to a book, to get to anything that these guys supply. And it's pretty interesting that we have voices there that actually aren't taxed that aren't taxed for this bookmobile, but yet they still have a say. And that's great. I mean, I get taxed for the Bear River Water Conservatory District and I'm not on their water, but it's a good thing to know that none of the people that have talked to me are against it, and they're the ones that are being taxed for it. So, and I appreciate your efforts.
May I?
Yeah.
If, as I look at the growth, and I've been in this county, well, my whole life actually, but more the past dozen or so years working on this project and talking to our county building, there's a trend in the county, and that trend is called growth. And like it or not, it's happening. And it's funny how a lot of people act, they want to shut the door once they're in. And I kind of smile at that, and because I was born and raised here, my grandpa was born and raised here, and I've watched that growth happen. It's happening. And what I would like to see that I don't see, and that's with this service to the county, is this service is not growing at all. It's staying steady while the county's growing. And so what's happening is a disparity is increasing over the years between our service and the population. And that concerns the library board, it concerns us, because what it means is an eventual demise of this service. If you don't meet the growth that's occurring around you, then you're planning for obsolescence. And so that's something that we look at. We don't believe we can grow if we don't have a home. That happened in January. We lost almost 50% of our space at the whim of Willard City Police Department. They own it, it's theirs. But we simply cannot grow as a service in this county unless we have a facility in which to feel secure in and make that growth happen.
There's been some talk recently. I've had some people say bookmobiles, it's not working or it's declining, and maybe you need to take a look at it. Is that primarily due to the space in Willard? I mean, what do you think maybe the declining circulation is?
Well, we talked about this as a library board about the things that were going on into the elementary schools, that they're not being able to get to the elementary schools because of the stuff that was going on and the things that are happening with education in the elementary schools. So if you're looking at the decline of that part of it is because of that, so.
Guys, I've given you way too much information right there in those little.
No, this is good.
I say too much in that it can be confusing.
But at least it's graphs, unlike Cotter stuff that he sends me that I just.
If I first may show you the tax rate, there's a downward trend on this tax rate. And it's trended downward since 2003. Our tax rate, what we're asking dollar-wise, has been decreasing. Mind you, all the while we've been planning and preparing for this building.
Right.
This little, here's another graph that shows the budget. That gray line is the fund balance. That fund balance is what's left over from my annual budgets that I don't spend. So for these 17 years, 20 years actually, I've had an incentive to not spend my entire budget with the hope that one day we'll be able to build us a facility. And we're hoping that that day is now. You'll notice that the blue line and the orange line are staying steady. And that's that growth, that's that tax rate, and we're just holding steady. But meanwhile, the population
Cody can tell you how many homes were in an unincorporated that, I mean, it's getting, had somebody from Syracuse, like you said, they want to slam the door and, like you can't let the county grow anymore. And I said, well, if I owned all the ground,
yeah,
that'd be a different story, but.
Well, I was just going to say, I'm in support. Like I say, I know this has been a long time coming. I'm in support of looking into that and trying to get you a building there. I just want to make sure we get it right.
Sure. The growth, the answer to the question of your growth, 60 years ago, the bookmobiles began in Box Elder County by getting into the schools. And there was a time when we went to 16 elementary schools. The school district never gave us $1, but it was probably a political move to get in and service these schools. And that's what most people think the bookmobile is it's a school entity. It isn't, never has been. With the schools getting bigger, and we all know the schools have gotten bigger, they've consolidated. And more pressures are put on the teachers' times. And so it's impractical for the schools to allow us to pull up front and take time for their kids to come out. We've lost all of the schools except the little out west schools. So of course that has hurt our circulation tremendously. But what we've noticed, if you'll notice on this graph, since 2000 and, nope, that's not the, we've actually been going up. Our circulation has been going up. You bet we dove from about 2000 down to about 2013 because we're losing those schools. But now we've almost had to reinvent ourselves in the communities. Here it is, guys, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's that one.
Okay.
You'll see that from 2000 and actually 16 on, we have been growing. And mind you, we're growing without a budget increase. And we're growing without the school's help. And so it's the demand's out there, and in fact, with each of these new developments that comes in and people from all over the the state and
How much of
country.
your inventory
They
did
say,
you lose?
what is the bookmobile? And they're thrilled with it. They're just delighted. So it's
So
really exciting.
inventory that 1 year, has it been 3 years ago when we got the freeze thaw, and we lost, I can't remember the number. Somebody's shaking their head back there. Can you remember? It was like 30%.
It was a lot, yeah, I don't remember the exact number.
30% of the books that were actually damaged, water damaged, had mold.
Just this year, we've had to reduce our books by about 10 to 15,000 because we ran out of room.
To be able to.
We were squished into a smaller space, and you don't have room, you don't have room. And we've got books piled up at the old airport hangar. We've got books in the old bookmobile. By the way, we used that old bookmobile for 45 years, guys. That's pretty good longevity, I think, by anybody's standards. So anyway, I feel like the numbers speak for themselves. I think we're being fiscally as responsible as we possibly can. We plan for this. We're not asking for a bond. We're not asking for any money. The money's there.
Yep.
In fact, I think the bid came in almost half of what was budgeted for.
Yeah, it come in low. It come in low from what we were anticipating. So I guess all I would ask, when Jones is done with this storm drain, where would you like me to proceed? You want me just to come back to you guys to look at that numbers and to see what, because it's hard for me to say what it's gonna to fix the issue of the storm drain. We might be able to do it in phases. We may be able to put this high enough that we can put off some of the storm drain work. There's lots of scenarios, but I'm just looking, when I get that back from Jones, you want me to come back to you guys? How do you want me to proceed?
That would be my feeling. Mr. Rhodes, that was kind of a leading question. The reason I mentioned that is you can't always believe what you hear out there unless it's based on facts and you bring the facts. And circulation isn't down. You guys are being fiscally responsible. Most people don't understand the certified tax rate. It goes down as property values go up. And so you really haven't had an increase. I mean, you show us those numbers. You've shown us the need. You've been very patient. The money's there. You've been fiscally responsible. It's budgeted. We found a home, it sounds like. I mean, if the library board is united on that, and this is the best place for it, we have the space. My only concern at this point would be the storm drain. I would like to see that building work and not have a flood in there that's going to ruin books and just exacerbate existing problems. So as long as that happens, I mean, I'm for it 110%. I know that this has been talked about constantly since I've been a commissioner, and we've tried to find a place. We've tried to find something that worked, and there's enough money, and it needs to get done.
So
How long is that bid good for, Tom? Do we have to reopen it again?
I would go look and see what Stokes told you.
My bid document said up to a year.
Well, that's why, I mean, I would assume, but I don't know if Stokes agreed
Yeah.
on
Okay.
their number.
Okay.
So Cody, if we give you the direction to follow up on that and the storm drain stuff, and
Yes.
then come back to us.
Yep.
Let's go from there.
My guess is you'd have to
We have to open.
redo it anyway, or
And that alone is going to take me, I think, at least 1 month to go back out to bid. I think it's 3 weeks.
and I don't know if it would. I mean, it would definitely be an amended plan because it's going to be a different footprint. I mean, the footprint would be the same, but the building concept is going to be different.
I'll talk to Stokes. I'll talk with Tom and get some together, and I'll come back to you guys and see what you
And
feel.
if you happen to put it
The
out to
sooner the
bid, I would
better.
actually put it out to bid right now and then worry about the storm drain stuff coming in after,
That-
so.
If I want to put it out to bid, I want to pull the trigger as soon as they get awarded. They got
Right.
to go, and I'm still waiting on my storm drain.
Yeah.
So
The nice thing is, if we can get it out to bid and get everything back, there's still time to get it, the foundation, the footings, it all roughed in before the weather gets
it's
bad.
a metal building. It'll go pretty quick. We
Yeah.
can get that. So get it
Okay.
right in.
Cool.
Okay.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you. For
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brad.
Appreciate
Terry,
your work.
thank you guys.
Okay, looks like we're on to, we need to amend the minutes from March 18th. Marla?
Yeah, we found it. We goofed on something. When we passed the electronic meetings as an ordinance, but it was actually a resolution. So we need you to amend the minutes to be able to add a note to that fact and then pass the resolution. Does that make sense?
Clear as mud. We actually asked the officer to go out and make sure that they weren't getting inundated by somebody, so that's why Dale's got up and left.
See out there, okay.
Yeah, Dale's out there, so
So,
might want to walk out and make sure.
do you guys have any questions or?
Thanks, Brad.
Yeah, thanks, you guys. Want to make that change?
It's more of a semantics thing. I mean, we're doing it. It's technically considered a resolution, not an ordinance.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I would make a motion that we amend the minutes from March 18th, 2020 regarding ordinance number 513, and that it is actually resolution 20-08.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion by Commissioner Scott, second by Commissioner Summers. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Scott,
It's a Scott Lyons show.
you're up.
All right, we've got a couple items. At your last meeting, you approved the sale of surplus property to Brigham City via quitclaim deed, and those deeds were prepared and signed. And Brigham City presented us with some right-of-way contracts. They're the standard right-of-way contracts that they use for acquisition of right-of-way for the corridor preservation process. So I sent those over to Steve, and he took a look at them and felt it was best that these contracts came back before the commission to decide on as a commission, as opposed to just having Commissioner Hadfield sign those based on the motion at the last meeting. So these are contract 20-38 and 20-39. I sent Steve's review over to you as additional information. I don't know if there are any questions that you would have for me or Steve as you review and make a motion on these.
I did. As I read through Steve's email, I think it's spot on. We agreed to sell this, but I don't know that we agreed to sell this with these new conditions. And so some of the ones that were talked about, I mean, liens and encumbrances, I don't think that there are any.
We haven't
But
checked. The point is we haven't checked, so that wasn't.
if it's, my suggestion would be if that's an issue for them, they need to pay for the title search. We're not selling it, they're buying it. I mean, that's how it originated. Debris and hazardous materials, if it's an EPA Superfund site, I mean, that should be on them to find out, not us. And, some of these other items, I think it should be the buyer, if there are any costs incurred that incur those, and I don't know that it's something that the county needs to represent.
I think you're totally right. I've seen that too. So do we send this back to them and ask them if those conditions apply and if they're ready to?
If they want that, then they need to pay for it.
Well, like I said, we didn't pass it with those conditions in it, like Commissioner
Yeah.
Scott said, so.
I mean, I think like was mentioned, it's probably a boilerplate document that they just send through. But if anything ever happened with any of this, it's our position, our responsibility to mitigate the county's responsibility.
I had to do the same thing with every lot of ground I bought, so. I had
And
to make
then,
sure all these things weren't.
The last one, it really should be paid for before construction starts. I mean, that just kind of makes sense, because if anything goes wrong, then we've got partial construction on something, so.
Chrissy, you want to shut that door?
Just my thoughts.
Thanks.
Okay, so I'm happy to just get in contact with them and basically express those concerns that you guys just mentioned. And if they want to go through and sort those things out, they can do that. Otherwise, they can remove those from the agreement and we can proceed.
Yeah.
Does that work?
Yeah.
It's a relatively small parcel. I don't think that any of these things would come up, but if it does, I don't know that we want to put the county in that position. So I would make a motion that we send this back and ask that these conditions be clarified or removed.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Scott, second by Commissioner Summers. All in favor?
Aye.
And that's on both of those, right? Do you want us to, do
Oh, yeah, on 2038 and 2039, I believe.
you want me to read, do you want us to re-motion that, Marta?
I would amend my motion for that to be contracts 2038 and 2039.
And I'll still second it.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
And does that mean we have to have the public hearing for surplus property also? Or is this
No,
for
that was-
other?
this was a request, so it's not actually a public hearing. So I guess we'll get that actual public hearing put on the next.
Yeah, so she
Commission
has
meeting.
published it for
That's-
July 1st.
that's what I-
Because she didn't have enough time for it to be on this one.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it has been published for July.
So we'll just
the
forego
meeting.
this request then.
So I think worth discussing on this request is the county surplus property policy states that has a section addressing highest and best economic return. And it states the highest and best economic return by the county to the county shall be estimated by one or more of the following methods, and then it has a list of various methods: sealed competitive bid, public auction, evaluation by a qualified and disinterested appraiser, Box Elder County Assessor's Office, or other professional publications or valuation services. I spoke with the party requesting the sale of this property, and they stated that their preference would be an evaluation by a qualified and disinterested appraiser. Based on my experience with all other surplus properties, kind of like you said, we're not the seller, they're the buyer. I would assume that means that the cost of that appraisal would fall on them as the buyer. But
That's what we've done before.
Well, that's what we were looking at on a couple of other pieces. The nice thing about that is, if we go with the assessor's office, I guess they could always come back and they could say, well, that's a county assessor, and maybe they would dispute that. And I don't know that they want it to go to competitive bid or public auction because it may sell for more than what they think. And so I think it's a happy medium, disinterested third party.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
All right.
And that's the parcel there, behind the old hospital?
Correct.
Okay.
All right. And you got the Potter subdivision?
I do, yeah. So our final item is the Nondas Potter subdivision. This is a 3-lot subdivision located at, let's see, approximately 17,500 north, 5,200 west, which is State Highway 13. It has been through the review and approval process, and all applicable departments have forwarded a recommendation of approval.
Okay.
So you guys have any questions?
I don't. I'd make a motion that we approve the Nondas Potter subdivision.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Commissioner Summers, second by Commissioner Scott. All in favor?
Aye.
Did you want to sign that now or later?
I can sign it now.
Okay.
You got your handy dandy pen?
Yep.
Handy dandy.
I can't.
Never get, oh, here it is.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't find my line I'm supposed to sign
We
it.
didn't have any last time, so I was wondering if it was gonna be a 3-inch thick one.
And I brought one too. Even looks just like yours.
Yes, dear. Drink.
All right, 17th, right?
That's the one I got from the funeral.
Yeah.
Still there.
So I don't want to
I'll
put
bet after
drag in.
7 years, it's not very good.
I don't know, with all the preservatives in it, it's probably,
That's true.
probably okay.
Right here, huh?
Are these the minutes for today? We okay? And then this one is just the amendment to the minutes regarding the resolution versus the ordinance?
Hey,
Yeah, and then this one,
Not messing
this one
around.
should just be the chair, shouldn't it?
got places to go, people to see.
Pass them to Mr. Chair.
Yeah,
Thanks,
that's the
Scott.
resolution instead of.
Thanks, Scott.
Did you ever find out any
Thanks,
more
sir.
information on that beaver dam?
And these
Yeah.
two we're holding off on,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay. Looks like we're to petition to move the state to green, or the state,
Yeah, well,
move us to green.
I know we have that much.
Okay. Yeah, as I mentioned in our administrative session before we started, I believe it was the Cache County Council voted, I think it was 6-1, to move Cache County to green. The way that it works, the procedure that the state has is any municipality, be it a city, county, town, what they do is they send in a letter to the local health department, and we fall within Bear River. So we would send a letter to them if we want to move from any stage to a different one. They look at it, they send their thoughts in, accompanying our letter to the state. The state reviews it, and then the state can either deny the request or they can grant it, with conditions, whatever they choose to do. We just got the update on that. That is the actual way that it's done. That came from our health department director. I've had a number of requests from different mayors, businesses, citizens saying, let's move to green. If you want to stay home, if you don't feel comfortable going out, stay home. But if others want to get back more to normal, let's do it. And, still encourage people to be smart. I mean, we don't want this to turn into a super spread zone, but so that's kind of where this came from. Just had a number of requests, and so I asked for it to be on the agenda so that we could discuss it and see if it was something we wanted to pursue.
Well, and like you said, our biggest problem is that we go into the things that they're telling us to do, and you go back into what green should be, and there's no guidelines. So I talked to General Burton last week after our phone call with UAC, and he basically said the same thing, that, yeah, you guys can do all you want and say all you want, but there's still no guidelines. So they've expanded the yellow, like we said before, to quite a bit, like you say, we've been talked to by multiple businesses and mayors and council people saying that they would like to have us petition to go to green, and then maybe see what that looks like, hopefully ASAP. And I'm sure you with the health department will figure that out. So, do you think we need to get the letters from the mayors that wanted to, Commissioner, or do you want to?
The ones that I spoke to said that they would be happy to do it either way. If the county was in favor of it, that they would be happy to sign one letter that was signed by us as well, or they could talk to the Mayor's Association and see if they could get something from the Mayor's Association. So, either way.
Can we just mention in the letter that we have the support of the mayors? And Gene, I haven't heard, Gina Marvel sent something out, and we haven't heard anything negative, just positive, so.
Well, I'm writing this letter.
Yeah, sorry. To the health department or the state health department?
It would be made out to Bear River Health Department with a request that the state grant us to move from the yellow to green.
So we work through the Bear River Health Department to get to the state, okay.
Like Commissioner Scott said, we were talking about one death, and the only death that we've had attributed to Box Elder County was the person that was on his mission, so. That was attributed to Box Elder County because that's where he was from. It's not where he caught COVID, and it's not where he passed away, so.
The one in Cache is the same.
Yep.
It's federal guideline that the person, their residence is their permanent location if they are traveling or if they are temporarily stationed or away.
So is there a precedence for this letter? Is there something I can look at?
You can maybe call Cache County and see if see what they said, but I think it was just a vote to proceed.
Yeah, I think it's pretty easy to justify. Our numbers have been relatively low. We haven't had the hospitalizations. Our positive test rate has still come back at or below the state average. and we are in a more rural area. Kane County petitioned to go to green, and they were granted that. I believe it was last week.
Yep.
So,
I'd entertain a motion then.
Before you do that, let me just ask,
Okay.
can the city apply on its own, or does it have to be the county that the city then applies?
great
Or do we know?
question. Cities can. I think what would happen though is if individual cities were applying,
Yeah.
I'm guessing, and this is just a guess, that the health department would recommend that they talk to the county
That's
and
what
try
Jim-
to apply as a county, because the problem that the health department has is somebody calls in and says, hey,
Where are you
can
at?
I do this event or can I do this? And they say, well, where do you live? Oh, you live in Smithfield. No, you can't do that. But Trenton and Clarkston can. And so,
So the follow-up question would be, so if the county submits the application and it's granted, does it apply to the cities if they didn't join in that application, or is it just an unincorporated county?
yes, they can. It would apply to those cities as well. But then the cities can turn around and go the opposite direction.
Okay.
So when
They
the
can have
state
less.
moved to yellow, West Valley City, Salt Lake County,
Summit.
County chose to stay at orange. And so if the city wants to do something different, they can apply on their own.
Okay.
No, that's a great question. We had the same one, so.
Could you forward me some of those statistics from our county so that I can obviously have the
Incorporate it.
You bet, yeah.
It's a great idea.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we petition the state, well, the county health department or the county's health department to go to green.
Do you have a time frame? Immediately?
Yeah, as soon as I think we get
As soon
there.
as possible? Okay.
Yeah.
I will second that motion.
I have a motion by Commissioner Summers, second by Commissioner Scott. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Looks like
We're done, have we?
we've got about everything else.
Warrant register. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I already
Got warrant register. Yeah, don't put your pen away yet. Okay.
Except I'd almost rather have an executive session than have to do what Jenica just gave me.
Sorry.
I don't know what it is. I used to do that like every other month plus shop.
There's some like that that just.
Well, somebody told me it was because of my first and last name, so I had to send a letter.
Ask him how he runs it.
I did. He said it's just random. I'm like, yeah, random heck.
SS?
Is this multiple?
Oh, yeah, this is like my third, fourth time.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah, I'm one time.
Oh, really? I've done it twice now. And they were both right after I came back from Mexico. I was like, what's the deal with that?
Maybe they know.
Yeah.
What's in the Coke?
Thought it was pretty ironic.
You better send him one to sit that down again.
Yeah.
When you come home.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, if this is a commission assignment and those two want to take that, I'm fine with it. I'm good.
Hey, I'm a pro now. You're a pro. I'll be another man. Gosh, I can't believe it's the 17th already. Holy moly.
Yeah, we're already more than halfway through June.
And 2020.
Crazy.
Well, if we're through autographing, I would make a motion that we adjourn our meeting.
Second motion.
I have a motion by Commissioner Scott, second by Commissioner Summers. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.